Let's go rock and roll. Okay, so with that, Brenda, I'm going to get out of the way. And since you know Mr. Tanner and you invited him on, so thank you. And I look forward to getting some great training and learning from you, brother. Okay.
Hey, Steve, thank you so much. I am so grateful for this fellow leader in Legal Shield. He was out here in the Pacific Northwest. Was it last month? I don't know. Time flies so quickly. But we were able to spend some time together. And this is a gentleman that I have admired. I got to meet him about a year and a half ago, but I had admired him and his wife from afar for a long time because they are just superstars in the company. I remember watching them walk across stage, and I don't know what ring level or what award they were picking up, but I was so impressed. And when Tanner came out to, whoops, when Mr. Tanner came out to the Pacific Northwest, I got to spend some time with him, and he is a down-to-earth gentleman. He loves helping people. He's making an incredible income. He knows all the facts. And I reached out to him yesterday and said, would you please come on and treat our team like your team? Every Monday morning he has, well, Monday at noon for him on the Eastern Coast, he has a Zoom where he trains his team on a weekly basis. And he's allowed me to jump onto that Zoom. And it's been so insightful. But I asked him just to come on and share with our team what it is he would share with his team after hearing all of the announcements in Dallas. And he was in Dallas, although I didn't see him. He says he saw me. So we're going to go with that. But Mr. Tanner, I'm turning it over to you. I'm so grateful for you being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Brenda, it's my absolute pleasure. And actually, our friend in common, Ryan, was in charge of keeping you away from me so I could focus on my work. No, that's not true. And I do appreciate you getting up early at the crack of 9 a.m. and joining us on Mondays for you. I know it's early out there on the West Coast. And I did have an absolute joyous time when I visited Washington and Oregon. Now, I might as well say it here because I've been saying it everywhere else. So you might as well hear it so you don't think I'm talking behind your back. You all worked me the hardest. I have done so many Super Saturdays in the last 12 months, but I have never been the person where I was doing my presentation at a Super Saturday, and then at the back of the room, they're looking at their watches, and they're like, we got to get this guy on a plane because he has another Super Saturday that we got to get him to tomorrow. I mean, you guys really, really made the most of that trip, and I had a blast. And Mr. Bishop also made sure I was well cared for on the Oregon end of the trip and showed me around as well after we did that event. So I just had a whole bunch of fun. There's a lot of places I've been in the last 12 months. And there's only a small percentage of those places where I said to myself, okay, I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring my family. There's more to this that I want to see and experience. And the Pacific Northwest for that trip, that really resonated with me. I'd never been there before. I'll never be able to say that again. And I'm going to come back all the time. So I want to thank you for that. And I know not everybody in the team is in that area, but I think probably most of you have been there or you know the area well. I am going to talk to you like you're my team, but since I don't know you as well, I was hoping that you could help me out as I get started, and we'll use the chat just to keep everything from becoming chaotic. So instead of unmuting and answering the question with your voice, if you could just jump in the chat and just let me know. And I've got the chat on I've got a bunch of screens here. I got quite a setup, but I would love to know how long you have been in this business. Maybe you joined it today or yesterday. Maybe you've been in a decade or two like myself. But I would just love to know if you could just share with me how long it's been since you became a Legal Shield independent associate, just so I have a better sense of who I'm talking to. Now, if you're driving a car or piloting an airplane, please don't do that because it wouldn't be safe. Oh, Miss Phillips, absolutely. So we got 22 years, 18 years. Here they come. Here comes a bunch, 6 years. All right, 18, 14. Keep them coming. Don't be shy in the chat. 20 years, 16. All right. 15 for Trent. Fantastic. Okay. I'm getting a sense that I'm speaking with the leaders, the folks that can handle the truest of true, transparent talk. And if that's the case, then I'm just going to go for it. So if you're brand new, I think you can handle this too. I see 12 years, 9 years, 16 years. Fantastic. I joined this business in February. It'll be 20 years. February 2004, I signed my associate agreement. I had owned the membership for a decade already, 22 months. Marcus Bryant, you're brand new at 22 months. And I saw you talking earlier, so I'm glad you're here with us. But listen closely because this is really gonna be helpful to you, I truly believe. Listen, if I didn't think this would be helpful, I'd go to bed because I'm old and it's getting dark out early over here on the East Coast now. So, but I have some stuff on my heart that I would just love to share with you. And here's what I want to say to you. I started this business 20 years ago in February. February will be 20 years. Anybody wants to get me a cake, chocolate, vanilla, whatever you want. I eat all cake. So in February, it'll be 20 years in this business. At 28 years old, when I signed that associate agreement, that was a completely different person than who's here with you today on this Zoom. I don't recognize that guy. Like that version of Jim Tanner was a completely different human being. Why am I saying this to you? I think one of the most important things about what we do, if you want to think about it in the terms of the 10 core commitments, is core commitment number 1, personal development. It's reading the books that millionaires recommend to us. It's listening to the audios that inspire us and take us to a higher level of vibration in our soul. It's starting our day with purpose and intensity, focused on the day ahead. It's going to bed knowing what we're going to do tomorrow and glad about what we did today. It's becoming a completely different person in pursuit of radical transformation. And that's what I've been able to do. Now, that's not what I thought I was joining. I think that's an important lesson here. Most people are joining a business that they can operate from their home, that has the potential to create an additional revenue stream for them, but they have no idea, most people, the transformation that is in front of them if they'll just engage in it, if they'll just walk through the door that's being opened for them, if they'll just accept the invitation to become a different person by following in the footsteps of the people who came before them. That's what I've done, and I don't regret a single moment of it. And although I've learned a lot to get to this point, what I've learned so far has really created a rock solid foundation that I'm standing on today so that I can do all the things I'm going to do next. I often tell my team, I say, listen, at any given moment in this company, there's 100. There's a bold promise. I want you to listen to what I'm going to say. At any given moment in this company we're in right now, there's 100 people that have earned at least $1 million doing this, that will take your phone call, that will help you, that would spend some time coaching and consulting you. And they're not going to ask you whose team you're in. They're not going to check to see if you're in their downline. They don't care about that. They care about the mission and the focus and the vision of our founder. They care about us finishing what was started by the people who came before us. And that's why I say that to you. Because for a business you can start for $49, you get a Rolodex of some of the most successful people in America, some of the biggest thinkers in America, folks that are kind and engaging and generous with their time and their energy. And I think that's worth celebrating. And I think too few of us take advantage of that. I've been to Atlanta, Georgia last Saturday. Was my 23rd live event in the last 12 months. Started it, the prior October, we had that Dallas event. I remember that Dallas event. I recorded a video with Will Dadsey there in Dallas because I was going to be his speaker at my first Super Saturday back on the road after COVID. So, we hadn't done a whole bunch. We hadn't really launched the new MVP program that we have now, where we have market leaders and things happening in all the big markets. None of that had happened. In October in Dallas 1 year ago, we were just talking about what the year ahead could be, what the next 52 weeks might be. And I remember that 2 weeks after Dallas, I was going to be in Virginia Beach. I remember thinking, I don't know if I'm going to go to Dallas because, I wasn't traveling at all. And then all of a sudden I was going to travel twice in the span of 2 weeks. And we still had more questions, right, about COVID and about the culture and about whether things were safe or not, even just 52 weeks ago. But we went to Dallas. I recorded a video with Will Dadsey. I went to Virginia Beach and I felt that energy. And I felt amazing energy in Dallas. But when I got to Virginia Beach to that Super Saturday, I had goosebumps. And I said, yeah, this is what I want to do. And so that's been my life, as many weekends as I could afford, away from my family, away from my other responsibilities, to come and see all of you over the last year. And what I've seen over and over and over again is the entrepreneurial spirit alive and well. Harlan Stone Cypher's DNA alive and well across the map in our associates. But I think that I can offer some insight to how we can do more faster and with some urgency. Because as I have been talking to my team, and I'll share with you, that we should have a sense of urgency, between now, all of these announcements that came out for October, really less than 2 weeks old, these announcements, the urgency between what's happening right now, the moment we're living in, what we're contemplating and trying to understand and wrap our minds around, and this period of time where we're going to walk through the doors of the International Convention in Oklahoma City less than 6 months from now, less than 26 weeks from now. We're going to be there together, celebrating together, in joy and congregation together. The question is only going to be, have you achieved all of the goals that you set for yourself and your organization, rank advancement, ring level, whatever you have on your dream board? Can all of that come true in the next 6 months? And I'm here to tell you, it absolutely can. But it won't happen by accident, and it won't happen just by wishing and wanting. It's not even going to happen. Listen to me. Sometimes I say things and it might sound flippant and it might even sound cruel, but I only mean it to be helpful. When I joined this business, I didn't have the money to get started. So I believe that when somebody is confronted today with a situation where they want to join our business and they can't afford to get started, they should do it anyway. I believe that when people are confronted with they want to grow their business, but they don't know how they're going to do it, they should do it anyway. I think we have to have some urgency right now, like we've never had before. And I don't mean that to seem unkind, because some of you are going to say, you don't know, Jim, I've been working this business hard. I'm going to come to that in a moment. Some people are going to say, you don't know, Jim, I have been pushing on this business for a long time, and yet nothing seems to be happening in my business. I'm going to cover that in just a few minutes. I'm going to tell you that we have to have urgency to get to Oklahoma City 6 months from now. There's a middle point that's going to be called New Year's Eve, January 1st. That's the middle point between now and Oklahoma City. So there's how we finish 23. There's how we launch 24. And when we walk through the doors in Oklahoma City, that will be the day we get our report card about whether or not we took this seriously. Because here's the secret that I when Brenda said, can you come and talk? I said, absolutely. I know exactly what I want to say, because what I've been saying, we have everything we already need to take this business, your business, not the company. That's somebody else's responsibility. It's not yours. I want you to cheer on the company as the company continues to grow. We're going to go from 4.4 million customers to 44 million. That's what we're going to do. And you're going to be proud when we do it. We're going to go from 2 billion to 20 billion. And you're going to be proud when we do. But your responsibility is your Legal Shield business. My responsibility is my Legal Shield business. We work with each other because we know that the congregated, the addition, the consolidation of all of our individual businesses becomes the company's success story. The urgency that we have to have is real, but we are not missing a single thing in any of us individually, and all of us collectively. We're not missing a single thing we need. Nothing has to be prepared or created. Nothing has to be done that isn't already on the table. We can do this right now, but we have to decide. We have to decide to do it. And so I'm going to talk you through something that if you've been here, as you know, we took that little inventory of how long people have been here. You've heard this before. As a matter of fact, if it's okay, just put a 1 in the chat. If it's okay with you that you're about to hear something you've already heard, you're not going to get new information. You're not going to get a magic formula. I don't have that. I have what you need to hear, but I don't have something new. You don't need something new. I don't have a magic wand. You don't need a magic wand. I don't have something special that's only for a few people. None of that's required. If any of that was necessary, you wouldn't be watching me today, because I'd still be delivering furniture like I was when I was 28 years old. And by the way, at 28 years old, I was making $400 a week, delivering furniture during the day. I see all the ones. So good. I was delivering furniture during the day, working at a store in the mall at night. And between those two jobs, working and committing 80 hours a week, making $400 a week. Let me put that in better context. It would have taken me 48 years to make $1 million doing that. So I understand what the stakes are. And I believe that we can, when we compress timelines and create urgency for each of us, and then collaborate and work together as a team. I'm going to show you how the teamwork happens here in a second. When we do this, everything that you're looking for that's magic appears. The magic is in the mundane. The magic is in the consistent daily activity done with urgency. And again, you all said I have your permission to tell you stuff you've already heard, except for the brand new people. You're going to say this is new information, and maybe you'll remember the guy who told it to you. And if you don't, that's fine. Just win. Because here's what's at stake. Your neighbors and friends, business owners in your community getting pushed around and bullied, laying awake at night wondering what they're going to do, crying into their pillow, wondering how they're going to solve their problems because they don't know that Legal Shield and ID Shield exist, and they don't know the opportunity to build a robust, meaningful income stream from home is available to them because none of us told them about it. So here's what you have to do. And I hope you're taking notes. Here's what you have to do. This is Dave Savula's formula, the #1 income earner in the company, the person that took this business from potential to reality, from what it could be to what it became. His name was Dave Savula. He's no longer with us today, but Dave Savula, his legacy lives on. We can't talk about Legal Shield without talking about Dave Savula. We can't talk about where we are without talking about what he did to get us here. And the gift that he gave us is twofold. First, he led by example. You could not outwork, outrun, out-hustle Dave Savula. I mean, you're talking about a gentleman that was always the top recruiter, always the top income earner. He was crisscrossing this nation, developing local meetings across the map so that everybody had something to plug into. He made something real, tangible, and exist in communities large and small across the United States and Canada that would not exist without him. He was the man. And what Dave Savula taught us was a simple formula: 2 a day and a weekly meeting. And since I have your permission to talk about things that you already know about, I'm going to talk about those things. I'm going to put them in the context of urgency. And here's #1, because I think what happens is it's 2023. We had COVID. We have all the stuff we could talk about why we're not doing it the way Dave Savula is doing it today. But I'll tell you this, nothing that Dave Savula taught us has changed. The tools have changed. The way we communicate with each other may have changed. He wasn't texting people, he was calling them. He wasn't emailing people unless he absolutely had to. He'd rather lick a stamp than send an email. There was no question about that. But what I'm telling you is the business stayed the same. The way we communicate has sped up. So the opportunity is bigger than it's ever been. The urgency that we can add to what he gave us allows us to do things faster than he ever did them. But we have to recognize it. We have to choose to do it. So what did he tell us to do with 2 presentations a day, 2 a day and a weekly meeting? What is that? What is that formula? And why did it work so well? Well, #1, it's simple. I heard it 20 years ago. I heard it over and over 20 years ago, and I didn't have to learn anything else to succeed. As a matter of fact, 2 exposures a day and a weekly meeting got me to director in my own small town in Rutland, Vermont. 2 exposures a day and a weekly meeting got me income that allowed me to quit 2 jobs. I was grinding 80 hours a week. I couldn't see. I mean, most of my bills were paid, but not all of them. I was choosing between food and gas, and then all of a sudden, Legal Shield comes into my life, 2 exposures a day and a weekly meeting comes into my life, and all of a sudden my entire reality changed. All of a sudden I'm working from home. I'm paying my bills. I'm getting paid every day. I quit my jobs. I left them behind without regret. I didn't have to worry about anything anymore. I started to set new sites from $400 a week to $400 a day so I could earn a 6-figure income. What was the catalyst for that? What was the system? What was the ground we ran on? 2 exposures a day and a weekly meeting. So you've all been around, many of you, I am watching the chat. Many of you have been around a long time. So you're saying to me, Jim, I understand. My question to you is, what would happen for my veterans here that are here? What would happen if you stepped out back on faith, loud and proud, and went back to doing 2 presentations a day and attending a weekly meeting that, quite frankly, you probably have to set up, right? Because the thing I didn't say about what Dave Savula built for us over the decades, we shut it down with COVID. We shut down this incredible infrastructure of weekly meetings, and we found out that it was easier to turn it off than it was to turn it on. That's what we learned. So what we have to do now is we have to turn it back on in every community, large and small. And it starts with you at a coffee shop with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of your close associates and their prospects. I'm going to get to that in a second, but I just want you to paint you a vision, because we've got a 3-month period to get to the end of the year. That could get you, if you're not executive director now, that could land you at executive director. Even if you're brand new, that'll put you at executive director. That'll give you another 3 months to build at least 1 executive director in your organization by transferring leadership. Walk into the Oklahoma City Convention bronze executive director. Maybe you're bronze right now, walk in silver. Maybe you're silver right now, walk in gold. Maybe you're gold right now, walk in platinum. I'm telling you, the sky's the limit. Do you know that if you're an executive director right now, I'm going to get back to 2 a day in a weekly meeting, but did you understand from what came out of Dallas, Texas, that if you're an executive director right now, like you were in Dallas, Texas as an executive director, and you saw that bonus, those level up bonuses, I gotta stay hydrated, Brenda, because I'm going to talk a lot. And I know I'm talking fast, but you can just watch the replay at half speed and you'll be fine. Do you know that I'll bet there was a whole bunch of executive directors that were in Dallas, Texas, and here's what they said. Well, great, I can't get a $1,000 senior director bonus. Well, I'm already an executive director. I can't get a $2,500 executive director bonus. For my executive directors that are here with me, here's what I want to say to you. With love and kindness and whatever else you want to hear. For you to transfer leadership, for you to teach people what you've done to become an executive director, get 4 people positioned to be an executive director on your team, yes, you'll be a platinum executive director. By the way, I think that is all by itself worth it in itself, the goal. But as a platinum executive director in this new level up period that we're in these bonuses that you have available through December of 24, if you help 4 people, you're already an executive director, you help 4 people realize that same position, the company's going to pay you $50,000 in level up money to level up to bronze, to silver, to gold, to platinum. And that's $50,000 that they're just going to drop in your bank account because you transferred leadership to 4 other people. Now you're saying, Jim, I've been trying to transfer leadership to 4 other people. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to ask you, have you been doing it the easy way or the hard way? Have you been trying to make it your way, complicated and fun and charismatic and a cult of personality, or are you just doing what Dave Cebula taught us to do 20 years ago? We're going to take a look at that here in a second. $50,000. Just want to make sure you understand the gravity of what I'm about to share with you. We're not talking about an extra couple $100, which would be great. And there's a lot of a couple $100 here, a couple $100 here that's going to add up to thousands of dollars that I don't have time to talk about tonight, that your leaders have already talked to you about. I'm talking about the big picture. You as a platinum executive director, $50,000, because you helped 4 people position themselves as an executive director in your team. Now they're each earning probably $100,000 a year. Now they're developing themselves to a whole nother level of leader. Now they're walking the stage and picking up the rings. That's the key to this. The whole magic is not what you get. It's what you get to cheer on that's happening in your team from coast to coast. I want for you to set new goals where your goals are not you're on the stage at the Super Saturday. Not that the company's flying you into markets to train, but that members of your team are the most sought after trainers in this company. That everybody wants your team members to be on their stage in their town, talking to their people, that they want your people to be at the convention, speaking loud and proud from the stage about how they did it, that they're picking up the rings, that they're picking up the trophies, that they're getting the acknowledgement, because when that's happening, you will never worry about your finances or your legacy in this company ever again. So what did Dave Cebula give us? Because Brenda didn't tell me how much time I have. I'm assuming 4 hours. Is that correct, Brenda? I have a quick 4 hours. Okay. So how do we get to 2 presentations a day in a weekly meeting? Like, how do you crack that code? How do you get your team doing that? You know, some of us have 10 people on our team that if they would just do 2 presentations a day, there would be 20 more people that discovered that Legal Shield existed today. But the reality is 300 million people are going to go to bed tonight with no idea they don't have to get pushed around or bullied because what we didn't get done today. And I hope that keeps you up at night because that's the business we're in. So I hope you're motivated by the mission, but I also hope you're equally as motivated by the fact that you can change your finances, that you can create legacy income for generations of your family. So here's what I want you to know. 2 presentations a day in a weekly meeting. Number 1, for those of us here, you got to make a list. And I'm going to give you a script because I always give you stuff. That way you get value from my training. I don't just blab, 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 although I do that. But I'm going to give you 3 scripts. I'm going to give you your chicken script that you can send as a text. I'm going to give you your not chicken script, the one that was taught to us by Dave Cebula, and I'm going to give you the script for all the people that you already tried to talk to and you blew it because you weren't following the program and you're afraid to go back to them because you said dumb things and now you don't think you can. I got 3 scripts for you. Just stick with me. And those 3 will cover every scenario for you and every member of your team. But let me ask you a question. My veterans that are here with us, how fresh is your list? Like, how big is your list? Are you adding people to your list every day? Are you in the BNI? Are you in networking groups? I mean, I don't care what you do. Grab a phone book. Though for younger people, just ask Brenda what a phone book is. She'll explain it to you. Grab a phone book and start writing down names that start with R. I don't care what you do, but your job as an entrepreneur in this business is to have a robust, ever-growing list, not an ever-shrinking list, not a list of people you think would like a Legal Shield membership, not a list of people you think would like an opportunity. It's a list of everyone you know. It's a list of everyone you interact with. It's the people that you do business with in the community. It's the folks you meet and the people that they introduce you to. That's your list. Make your list. Lead your team loud and proud from the front. Don't ask them to do anything. See, this is one of the big challenges about our business, is that in Legal Shield, we tend to attract really, really, really honest people. Thank God, by the way, because it just makes our business easier. But here's one of the challenges of having these really authentic, transparent, honest people like all of you, is you won't do something, you won't ask your team to do something that you're not doing. And I'm glad, but if I can't get you to do it, you won't promote it and talk about it, which means the duplication piece of this just falls apart. And then your team doesn't know what's important because you don't want to do it. I'm telling you, you got to make your list, because if you make the list and you keep that list big and you keep that list robust and fresh, then when you're talking to members of your team, you are going to be authentically, transparently, actively, excitedly saying to them, you got to make your list. How many people are on your list? Who have you added to your list today? Where are you getting your list? You got to ask yourself, by the way, let me just step out of the 2-a-day and a weekly meeting and talk about this list for one more second. You have to understand, as a Legal Shield independent associate, what is the problem you're trying to solve? The problem that you and I are trying to solve is, who am I going to show this to? Not what am I going to show them? We got that. Not who's going to talk to them and answer their questions. We got that. I'm going to give you all that today, in case you don't know it already. Not how to build websites and funnels and all that stuff that we love to get distracted by. None of that is the stuff that is the question we're trying to answer. The only question we're trying to answer is, where are the people that we're going to put through this process called 2 presentations a day? And so here's the thing: you got to make your list. All right. So that's number one, but not really, because that's just your list. It's like saying that's the gas. I got a sports car, but there's no gas in it. Well, so what? It's not going anywhere. You have a Ferrari, you have a Bentley, you have a spaceship called Legal Shield. This is your vehicle, but you have to fuel it, and the fuel is your list. Now, if you're reluctant to make your list, and this is going to be clearly of people that are newer, my question to you, as it is to everybody in my team, is not, I'm not going to have a whole conversation about, well, I don't want to talk to this one. My mom always says no. I've been in 9 network marketing companies. I've heard all of that a million times. You know how many times somebody's told me, well, people in my town won't get it? You can't come to me with that. I've been here too long. I've heard it too many times. Fact is, full stop, the reason you're not making a robust, full, complete, fresh list is because you're not using your membership. That's just what it is. Because if you were getting your will done and you were saving thousands of dollars, if you got a traffic ticket and you had your attorney stroll into that courtroom with you, you got to go first because you had an attorney. The attorney said a bunch of cool things you don't understand to the judge. The judge banged the gavel and you walked out of there, and 30 minutes later you were free and clear and all the stress was gone. Then you would be making a list. If you were the person that you weren't getting pushed around, that somebody owed you a phone call back or a refund, or a company that shipped you something broken and they won't ship you a new one, if all of that stuff that happens to our Legal Shield members, that you are getting it resolved with Legal Shield, the barking dog, the run over mailbox, the mechanic that's not treating you right, if you were using your Legal Shield membership, you would be making that list, and you'd make it as fast as you could, because you would be on fire with belief about what our membership does. You got to do that, okay? And you got to tell your team this. They got to use their membership. They didn't buy a membership because it's part of what you do to join the business. That's nonsense. You bought the membership because when you saw what the membership does, only then did you say, that is why I want to be in this business, because this membership is something everybody has to know about. Everybody has to have this. I want to be a part of this mission. I want to be a catalyst for radical change in every community across society, with Legal Shield leading the charge. And I'm going to be a part of this. If you don't feel that way, then none of this stuff I'm saying matters. This is just entertainment. You're like, oh, let's watch some guy who made a bunch of money talk and turn red. No, I want you to change your community with this business. That's what you can do. So you got to make your list. Now, you've got to invite people to a proper presentation. I'm going to give you my 3 scripts. And you can't, I got this from Mike Riches. I got to give him credit for this, at least a couple more times. You can't confuse a presentation with an invitation. This is what new people do wrong all the time. They think that they're inviting somebody to a presentation, and they start talking about it. And then the person, their prospect says, well, just tell me what it is. And they start talking about Legal Shield. And the problem is, the more you know, the more you say, and the more you say, the less likely that person is to ever sit for a presentation. As a matter of fact, I learned in business solutions, in group selling, that when decision makers would pressure us and they say, well, just tell me what it is. And you're talking about people who own businesses or HR manager executives in big companies. When they say to you, well, just tell me what it is, I'm busy, you want to just tell them what it is because you're intimidated. But I had to learn in that part of the business, you can't do that because you'll never get the group that way. So here's what I learned to say. When somebody says, well, just tell me what it is, here's what I say. I say, listen, and this is especially, you can do this with friends. It's easier with friends, relatives, family, coworkers, people at your church. It's easier because they'll understand. If you do this with heart and sincerity, here's what you can say. I can say, Brenda, in 5 minutes, standing right here, I could tell you everything you need to know to say no. But if you'll give me the ability to show you this information, it doesn't take that long, then you'll be informed. You can make an informed decision. And that's it. Most reasonable people won't argue with that. You've overcome the objection. If they continue to object, they're not going to buy a membership anyway from you. So just move on. Don't even show them the presentation, and don't give them the satisfaction of a 5-minute version so they can say no to you. I learned from Todd Falcone many, many years ago, one of my early mentors, say no to them before they can say no to you. It's just good for your mental health. So the presentation is not the invitation. Our job is to do invitations so that we can get 2 presentations done a day. See, here's one of the challenges, and I get to say whatever I want because I guess Brenda could just delete me if she wanted to, but if I go too wild. But the reality is that somewhere we got confused as an associate field force in the difference between inviting and presenting. And we started to think that if I texted somebody a link to a video 2 times today, 2 people got that link, that I've done my work. Well, you've certainly invited 2 people to a presentation, no question about it, but you haven't exposed 2 people to what we do. That is why people get frustrated and they say this business isn't working, because they're looking at the wrong KPIs, the wrong key performance indicator. Now, I can track how many invitations I did today, but it's got to be more than 2. And there's different ways that I can invite someone. I can give you the scripts, and there's different ways that I can expose them when I invite them. So let me just get into the scripts so you can understand a little bit, because again, I don't want to take too much of your time. But the cardinal North Star invitation script, the very thing that a guy said to me when he invited me to take a look at this membership, that was Dave Savula's script, that was the line forever, is simply this: I've got something I'd like to show you. You may or may not be interested. It'll take a few minutes. And that's changed over the years. Take 15 minutes, take 20 minutes, whatever you want to say there. Take a few minutes. Don't say 5, because it takes longer than 5. I'm talking about a proper presentation. This is an invitation to something that people will find valuable. Something I'd like to show you. You may or may not be interested. Take a few minutes. And Dave Savula taught us why those 3 lines mattered. Now, he also said, and he was so charming, he would say, you can get those in any order you want, right? The order of those 3 lines, those 3 sentences don't matter. But all 3 sentences are key. There's psychology behind this. This was refined even before I got here. This was gifted to me like a scroll. And it was gifted to you the same way, only if you covet it and use it. Now, let's go through those 3 lines and then I'll move on. Let's just start with, you may or may not be interested. Takes all the pressure off. See, when I say you may or may not be interested, now they don't feel pressured or cornered. Especially important to me as someone that doesn't want to ever make somebody feel pressured or cornered. I want to be friendly and helpful. That's kind of my deal. It'll only take a few minutes or 15 minutes or whatever you want to say, because I know people can give me that. I know that is a reasonable request of time. And I can do this presentation in 8 minutes because I've done plenty of that in business solutions, but I can do a proper presentation in 20. So I'll often say 15 to 20 minutes. So we've got, you may or may not be interested, no pressure. 15 to 20 minutes, low commitment. And I've got something to show you is radically important, because I can't tell you about something I have to show you. And see, this is a visual presentation. Now, I've seen people do great presentation, or I should say I've heard people do great presentations in the old days of conference calls. And again, Brenda will tell you what a conference call is if you're under 40. But what we do today, we have Zoom, so we can Zoom and do presentations. We have videos that we can send to people for presentations. It's always got to be show. I can't cut your hair over the phone. I got to get you to see it. Now, I prefer in person. I'm going to get to the presentation here in a second, but we talked about making your list. We talked about the invitation. I just gave you the North Star invitation, the Dave Sewell invitation. Something I'd like to show you, may or may not be interested, only take 15 or 20 minutes. But that's not the only one, because some of you are chickens and some of your new people are chickens. So you can text. We've got a "what are you doing tonight" script. And some of you have seen this. I got it from Alex Shahid. You just send a friend, "Hey, what are you doing tonight at 7 o'clock? Question mark. Whatever time your business overview Zoom is, your live Zoom." And they say, "Nothing. What's up?" This is a friend, this is a coworker. You've created some curiosity is what you've done. So you're saying, "Hey, what are you doing tonight? 7 o'clock?" That's the first text. And they say, "Nothing, I'm free." Or they say, "I'm swamped. I got the kids, I got soccer, I don't know how I'm going to get it all done." No reason to go any further. You can do it another time. But they say, "Well, I'm free. I'm not doing anything. What do you want to do? You want to get a coffee? You want to get a beer? You want to hang out? You want to watch a movie? You want to watch the game?" You've opened the conversation. Remember, this is a business for people that like each other or would like to like each other. Like, I like my team. I like hanging out with my team. My team knows I get on airplanes just to hang out with them. I love hanging out with people. So that's the whole idea, is let's do this business with people we already like so that we can have fun. It's also a fun business. If you told me 20 years ago I could get to be a millionaire and have fun and everybody I talk to is a big thinker and a revolutionary doer, I wouldn't have believed you. But that's exactly the business we're in. So I want you to do that simple chicken script that you use with a text message. Say, what are you doing tonight, 7 o'clock? Boom, you've opened the door. Nothing, what's up? There's something I'd like to show you. It's a business that I'm taking a look at, and I love your insight, or something like that, right? And I'm not, I know somebody could type it into the chat, but this is conversational. I think you get the premise. The premise is, what are you doing? Nothing. Great. Here's the reason I'm reaching out. Would you take a look? Yeah, for you, anything. Hey, listen, last time I flipped my snowmobile over, you were the guy there to tow it out of the lake. I don't know what happens up there in the Pacific Northwest or wherever you people are. That's a Vermont thing, though. We definitely tow each other's snowmobiles out of lakes. So the point is, friends do friends a favor. And then you can invite them to the Zoom and they can see it. And then I've got a third. This is the "I blew it" script. I've already run through my list script. I'm afraid to talk to the people on my list script. If you want that one, give me a 1 in the chat while I catch my breath. And I'm almost done, because I know Brenda's like, we have other stuff to talk about besides Jim Tanner. All those ones were from Brenda. Okay, keep them coming. All right. So here's the script. Here's the "I blew it" script. And by the way, you know what a script is? It's a template. It's an outline. It's a scaffolding. Make it your own words. Here's what I say. I text this to people. I mention it to them when I run into them. Here's what I say. Here's what I would say to somebody at the gym that I haven't seen in a while. This is what I would say to my pastor if I had a chance to catch up with her on, passing her by in the hallway. I'd say, "I just have a quick question for you." And this is a great text, by the way. I just have a quick question for you. Do you think you know what I do well enough that you could recommend me to people I could help? And I'm going to say that one again, because I know that you don't hear that one all the time, but my team loves that. It works great for us. Do you believe you know what I do well enough that you could recommend me to people that I could help? Now, the psychology of that is beautiful, right? Because now it's not about you and me. It's about me and the people that you know that I could help. And there's only 2 answers. The answer is yes. Oh, yes, absolutely, definitely. And then to those people, I say, great. I would love 3 names. I'd really love to help. Who do you know right now that I could help? And if the answer is no, then I say, great. Can I grab a cup of coffee with you? Let me show it to you one more time so that the next time you run into somebody that I can help, you think of me and you put us together. And that works great at BNI. It works great at the chamber. It works great with the list of people that you've already done it wrong with and you feel like you can't go back to, because it's a great soft way. So I just gave you 3 scripts for inviting. Your job is to invite until you get to 2 exposures a day. Your job is not to invite 2 people and then tell your upline, "Well, I invited 2 people and they didn't come to the Zoom." That's not the commitment. The core commitment of the 10 core commitments, core commitment number 3 is 2 presentations a day. And we laid all this out. I mean, not we, but long before I got here, this was laid out in front of us. Do these 10 things and go all the way to the top. Do them consistently and for the longest period of time with the most joy and urgency, and you go to the top the fastest. By the way, I've tried doing it my way. Doesn't work fast, and doesn't work for long. And I've tried doing it the company's way, and it sustains. As a matter of fact, my first customer from 20 years ago is still on the books today. And the question I often ask people is, what are you getting paid on right now that you did 20 years ago? And do you like the answer to that question? Because I like the answer to that question, because I never got paid again for furniture I delivered once. But this business changed everything for me. So I just want you to know, this is not a complicated business, but the humans involved in it love to complicate it. So what do? We make a list, and we keep making the list. We grow the list. We know that that's the question we're trying to answer is, how can I add more people to my list? And then instead of being afraid, we routinely throughout the day, every day, takes minutes, takes seconds, takes slices of time, stolen moments to send a text or to make a call or to run into a friend and invite them to take a look. Invitations, however many your invitations it takes you, is what you do to get to the commitment, which is the 2 presentations. I can't say that enough, because your whole team that's frustrated, they're not where you think they should be, and they're not where they think they should be. It's because they sent 2 links today, and they're frustrated that 2 people didn't watch it. I'm telling you right now, people aren't going to watch it. You know how many TikTok videos people send me every day? Instagram reels, YouTube links. I mean, all the stuff I get every day. It's hard to go above that noise. When Legal Shield Associates in 2016 were the only people sending links to videos for people to watch, great. But it's not 2016. So you are in a loud field, and that kind of makes my next point, which is to show them the presentation. So you make the list, you get good at inviting, you understand that your job is to invite until you get to 2 presentations completed for the day. So what are the completed presentations? Well, I got 4 examples for you. You could probably come up with more, but one is have them watch a video. You got prospect, you can send them a video. Prospect will tell you if they click on the link. It will tell you if they start watching the video, it will tell you how much of the video they watch, so that you're not lying to you. We don't want you to think that they're not interested when the truth is they just didn't watch the video yet, so that you understand where you are in these key performance indicators. Here's where you are. You didn't do an exposure today. You didn't do that presentation because they didn't watch it. That's okay. We all deal with that every day. It also doesn't have to be uncomfortable. Because if I know that I need to invite more than 2 people to get 2 people to see it, then I can live with that. Also, if I know that if all I have to do in this whole world around me, I don't have to build a house, I don't have to dig a hole, I don't have to fix a car, I don't have to cut hair, I don't have to stand on my feet all day, I don't have to do any of the stuff that other people have to do to make money, and I can become a millionaire because I invited people to see a presentation that makes sense, that's a pretty good deal. And I don't have to quit my job to do it in the beginning. I don't have to starve while I'm trying to learn how to do it, like so many other people in so many other businesses. I don't have to freak out and fret. I don't have to mortgage myself and gamble my family's future to make this happen. I can just do this around my life and build it, and with joy, and surround myself with a team of people that build it with joy. Fun, right? So you make a list, you understand what an invitation is, and you do one. And you do invitations until you get people to actually see the information. And again, you can have them watch the video. You can invite them to a coffee shop. See, I like live. I'm a big fan of live in 2023 and 2024 because I call that a pattern interrupt. Somebody put that in the chat, a pattern interrupt. I don't want to be the 1,000th video that somebody got invited to watch this week. I want to invite a real person to sit down with another real person at a coffee shop, ideally. And I'll play the video for you there. I don't have to do the presentation. I'll play the video for you. I'll even, listen, maybe there is a Zoom presentation. I'll come over to your house, we'll watch it together. But worst case scenario, that's not going to work. Have them watch the video. Have them watch the Zoom presentation from where they are. The live Zoom is better than a recording. Have them come to an in-person business briefing and meet other people that are in the business. That's magic. We say meetings make money. There's a reason for that. We have weekly meetings. We have Super Saturdays once a month because meetings make you money. But we want to get people in front of presentations. And the more real people we can surround them with, that's called social proof, right? Because if it's just me and you talking about Legal Shield, that's one thing. But if I invite you to a coffee shop and there's 3, 4, 5 other people that love what they do and are energetic about what they do, and you come and you meet the other people that are in your community doing the same thing, and you see the same information you would have watched on a video, it takes on a completely different dimension. And that's why we say meetings make money. So you make a list, you invite people to see the information, you get them in front of the information. And then the next step, by the way, is to not answer their questions, but to get somebody else to do it. We call it a three-way call, a three-way Zoom, whatever you want, but have your workout partner, have your upline, have a friend that's in the business that's capable of doing this, jump on the line too, and answer their questions. You know why? Because what you're trying to show people is that they don't have to do the presentation, because you'll do it, somebody will do it. They don't have to know how to answer the questions. The reason this is so key is because the best people for your team are the busiest people you know. And busy people don't want a project. They don't have time for that. They want a system. So when you show that, when you bring them through this process, you're showing them what the process is. And when you point back, when they say, well, how do you do this business? You say, well, let's take a look at what we just did. I sent you a text. You texted me back. I asked you to have a cup of coffee. You met me for coffee. I had my friend do this presentation for you while you watched it. He answered your questions. Do you think that you could invite people for coffee? Have me or one of the other team members do this presentation and answer their questions? They have to say yes. They might say, listen, I'm too busy to go for coffee. Well, that's okay too. Have you ever operated Zoom? By the way, if you run into somebody in 2023 that's never operated Zoom, it's probably not true, because we even us, older people know how to use Zoom. We all learned how to use it over the last few years. That's the magic of it. So let others do the presenting. You do the inviting. Let others answer the questions. You do the introducing. Introduce the people, the experts, the folks that you're working with, your business partners that will do those answering those questions for you. Why am I showing you all this? Because it creates massive duplication in your business. It reduces the anxiety on every member of the team, because nobody feels like they're an island. Nobody feels like they're doing it alone. Nobody feels like they're off trying to figure it out. You're rowing in the same direction. You're in harmony and unison. You're in lockstep. You're marching together. Everybody understands the mission and the assignment, and everybody's moving towards it quickly with urgency. And listen, I didn't have to come up with this. It came from Dave Savula. But I think the best words, because I'm going to turn it back over to you, Brenda, the best words ever spoken about why we do it this way come from Brian Carruthers. Brian Carruthers, I remember my first convention, they gave Brian Carruthers a trophy for earning $100,000 in a month. I mean, I didn't have enough money to get home when I got to that convention. And this guy, I'd never heard of this guy, never heard of any of these people. And they gave him a trophy for making $100,000 in a month. And I remember saying to myself and saying to Bill Sharon, who was there with me, and Pat McGurn, my first two recruits, I said, if this dude can make $100,000 in a month, we can make $100,000 in a year. And my life has never been the same since. So here's what Brian Carruthers teaches us. And we have to, I hope you have this written down where you do your work. Whoever invites the most exposes the most. Simple, right? It's not magic. Nobody's going to break into your house and say, let me take a look at this. Whoever does the most invitations is going to get the most exposures. Whoever exposes the most gets the most recruits. I mean, just go look at the top recruiter list. Those are the people doing the most invitations that leads to the most exposures. They're getting the most recruits. Now, here's a part where you think maybe I could offer some insight, like I teach you how to develop leaders. I'm telling you one thing, whoever recruits the most people develops the most leaders. Because in that group of people, there's some folks that are super casual about this. They just love the membership, and they're going to sell a membership every once in a while. They love the membership. They would love to make some extra money, and that's what they do. They love the membership, and they stay in Performance Club, and that's great. And then some of those people, they love the membership, and they want to become a Millionaire Club member. When you recruit the most, you find the most people that you can develop into leaders. And whoever develops the most leaders has the most freedom. And here's why, because now you have distributed leadership. You have people in different markets across the map that are running their own businesses, and you're overriding all of that. You're getting matching bonuses from Performance Club on all of that. You're getting these level up bonus matches on all of it, these executive bonuses, Manager Mania, all of that is flowing up to you, to the thousands and then the tens of thousands of dollars in bonus money, because you created an environment where simple things were happening that anyone could do, part-time, spare time, full-time, slices of time, that anybody could understand. PhD, GED, didn't know where the sixth grade was. Everybody can do it. Everybody can understand it. Everybody can commit to it. Everybody can see it through. That's duplication. That's what Dave Savula gave us. That's what Brian Carruthers has proved effective beyond anybody else in this business. And that's what you and I have. All we have to do is act with urgency right now. The next 90 days or whatever's left to get us to January 1st is this position where with urgency, you create the foundation for what you then do from January 1st to Oklahoma City. When you get to Oklahoma City, we're going to be celebrating you at a new ring level, massive new success and new wealth and new bonuses as well. But most important, because you did it this way, you will have helped the most people possible to change their financial situation. You will have helped the most people possible in your community and across the nation to get Legal Shield and ID Shield, to protect themselves and their family, to protect their business and their employees, to protect the families of those employees. And you will have changed the fabric of society. Equal access to equal justice is going to be real in our lifetime. We didn't get this done in Harlan Stone Cipher's lifetime or Ken Moore's or Wilburn Smith's. But if we just keep it simple, highly duplicatable, and we stay focused and have urgency, I promise you, we will get this done in ours. Brenda, thanks for having me. Back over to you.
Oh, Mr. Tanner, I wish it was 9 o'clock in the morning because you have fired us up and you have really put a just an amazing amount of urgency. Ryan and Steve, I'd love to have you share your thoughts. I've got so many thoughts. I can't even go, but Ryan, let's turn it over to you.
I don't know. How do you have thoughts after, people are saying best training ever? Just read the, read the chat, Jim. It was absolutely phenomenal. You know what I loved about it? Besides the content, which was out of this world, some of it's a phenomenal reminder, but the way you put things was also like, did I just hear that differently? It seemed familiar over the years, but I just heard it differently. Just the reminders, phenomenal. But what I loved is that the time and the energy that you're training, not your team, you're giving back, you're raising the boats. It's just, man, brother, friend, guy with the same haircut. I can't get a beard like that, but you really did truly act like a professional who knocked it out of the park for us. And we deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I hope everybody feels the same way that I do right now.
Absolutely. And I think Mr. Hoisington had to drop off. He was in his car going to another event tonight. But Mr. Tanner, if I just started with, you talked about Dave Savola's legacy. For anybody who ever met Mr. Savola, you hit it spot on. And there are 75 days until December 31st. And there are 184 days until our convention. So if you are not working with urgency, then there's something, your wood's wet. Who used to say that? Wilburn Smith, right? But stolen moments. You talked about doing this in stolen moments. I absolutely love that. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to you. How many times have we gone to bed at night thinking, I could have done more. Oh, I did okay. No, we're lying to ourselves. You had so many things. Build it with joy. Busy people want a system, not a project. There were so many one-liners that I wrote down. Act with urgency. Whoever invites the most, expose the most. Whoever they get the most recruits. Whoever recruits the most develops the most leaders. Whoever develops the most leaders creates the most freedom. Like, I'm going to have to listen to this again because my shorthand is a little bit confusing. Thank you. I know it's almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Your wife and your child are probably thinking, what the heck? Who is this team that you're giving your heart and soul to? But we appreciate you so much. If you look at the chat, we've never had a training that has been on this scale, and we've had a lot of great trainers. So thank you so much, Mr. Tanner.
True.
All right, team. With that, if you need to be motivated at any time, this will be posted in the Facebook page. So please, I know Steve is fantastic about going in and posting it the following day. I know we had a gentleman, Jay, who couldn't be on the training tonight. He's like, when will the replay be posted? Go back and listen to
Brenda.
Yes, Mr. Hoisington.
I keep dropping off, and I apologize. I'm just catching it. I will have this post. This is one of the best trainings ever. Jim, you're amazing. I'm just trying to get this in case the call event. I love it, man. Pattern interrupter. I was just talking to some of our leaders about getting live events and a place for our people to meet and see each other outside of a Zoom locally. That's where leaders are built. So, Brenda, I'll turn it back over to you before I drop off. Jim, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you, brother.
No, there were so many nuggets in this training that I think, well, I know next week we have a great trainer too, but at some point we need to discuss all the nuggets. Listen, in 5 minutes, I can tell you all you need to know. If you'll give me 5 minutes, you'll have the information needed to make a decision. And the same thing when he talked about, like, if you messed up, like, do you know enough about what I do that you could recommend me? Oh, you don't? I apologize. Hey, listen, I'd love to have you sit down with me so you could. I know so many nuggets. So we're going back. We're listening to this again. And team, thank you for being here. Thank you for investing the time. There's been 27, 29 people on the Zoom all night long. This went twice the time. I didn't tell Jim how long we normally train for. He just put his freaking cell phone number in the chat, guys. Come on now. If you're keeping up with things, you find that and you will gather that. So team, have a great